skydiving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Sober Saturdays. Hello. No, I did not sleep in. I'm a little late today. Had our ducts cleaned. The ducts had not been cleaned in 20 years. So they kind of needed to be done. Plus, then I got 8 cats, or we have 8 cats. Moving cats around room to room. Have them move this. And then today was also the what do you call it? Shred day for North Glen, and we had a lot of shredding. I just cleaned up like a good portion of mine. All right, you could take up to 3 bags or boxes, so we took 3 different cars, did 3 different drop-offs, got rid of all of it. 9 55-gallon. Now they weren't all the way full, but they're 3/4 of the way full, man. But it's funny what old people throw out, like warranties for fridges from the 70s and stuff. So Saturdays, I don't usually get too many people. And since I'm late and right in the middle of what would be considered a noon meeting, we might see Amber, maybe. That's probably going to be about it. Even though I picked this topic because I saw some people in my group kind of struggling. So I thought going back to basics was maybe a good idea, a good topic. I haven't even had a chance to look at the daily reflection today to see if it fits or not. So let's find that out first. September or October, August. There we go. Now this will work. All right. Ow. I forget that my wrist hurts and I turn it a certain way, and it's never hurt for this long. Well, it did when I was younger. All right. Doesn't matter. All right. Let's switch that so that it straightens out the camera a little bit. Oh, touch up my appearance. What does that do? Let's see. I'm gonna bring it all the way up because that made no change. And I'll turn it off. Turn it on. Yeah, that made no change. I'm gonna keep it though. I don't look touched up. All right, seeking emotional stability. When we develop still more, we discovered the best possible source of emotional stability to be God himself. We found that dependence upon his perfect justice, forgiveness, and love was healthy, and that it would work where nothing else would. If we really depended upon God, we couldn't very well play God to our fellows, nor will we feel the urge wholly to rely on human protection and care. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 116. Yeah, I mean, if we really depended on God, and I like that, and that works where nothing else would. So maybe we should just go there first instead of, skipping the, just skip the line. Just go straight to God. The unmanageables I love how they do this, right? The Unmanageables has 2 new views. Spend $10 more on an ad. Nobody went and looked at it. It doesn't tell you who looked at it or anything else. How are we to believe that? How am I going to believe that? So I go there, and there's no notifications. It just wants me to spend money. So, yeah. I was just, because sometimes I go through threads and try and help people out and stuff. And there's one girl where she was complaining that her now ex-boyfriend, she said, I was going through mental health stuff, and I told my boyfriend at the time, that would help out a lot if he brought her a cup of tea each morning. And he said, that's not my responsibility. Now, I understand what she's saying, but he's right. It's not his responsibility. It's not. Right? Now, I'm not putting this person down. I understand wanting to, people to take care of you and things like that. But that was a demand. And it clearly did not work out. Oh, you have mental health, so I should pander? Maybe it's best if you got out of bed and went and made your tea to get you moving for the day. I actually think that might be the answer. Right? Now, at the same time, I'm a husband. If my wife isn't doing too well, I'm happy to go out of my way. But expecting her to do will just send me back to right? So my dependence needs to be upon God, not depending on my wife to do things for me. Right? Been pretty cool. We got a lot of stuff done around here last week. Very proud of my kids. All right. So all my life, I depended on people for my emotional needs and security. But today, I cannot live that way anymore. By the grace of God, I have admitted my powerlessness over people, places, and things. I've been a real people addict. Wherever I went, there had to be someone who would pay some kind of attention to me. I still do this. I do. Actually, I can see where it did touch me up. All right, let's take that off and see what happens. All right, I'm gonna take it off. Oh dear Lord, what happened to me? No, it didn't change. I don't think it changed. It got rid of the creases in between my eyes, I think. Let's try again. Sorry, people that are listening on Podbean. I know you can't see any of this. No, it didn't make any. Okay. All right. Yeah. It was kind of attitude that could only get worse because the more I depended on others and demanded attention, the less I received. Yeah, because when you start running around demanding it, nowadays they'll just call you toxic and block you. I mean, that's what's going to happen. All right. I've given up believing that any human power can relieve me of that empty feeling. Although I remain a fragile human being who needs work, AA steps to keep this particular principle before my personality. It is only a loving God who can give me inner peace and emotional stability. All right. Looks like we have somebody here. It told me that, if I wanted, it told me to reset the YouTube channel to get it to work, get it working again, but I failed. I forgot to do that. So chat may not still be working. I won't know until somebody says something. So, but if you were driving or something, I'd rather you did not. So, and if that's Amber, if that's you with me right now and you're driving, hi. I was going to wear this shirt today for the conference, but I'm wearing it anyway. So it was kind of funny because hey, Jason. Okay, this is Jason listening. Good to see you, brother. Now, when I brought this to Chat GPT, I want you to, because this stuff is interesting to me, right? So, what I told it was, I said, all right, so it's going to be around doctor's opinion. You know, what do we call it? The psychic change. I want to do that in step one. So I need to come up with a topic like that. I'm thinking psychic change and then combine step one in there somehow. And the closest it came was step one and the psychic change. But then it gave me the next one. The psychic change begins with step one, which is not true. I'm going to put you guys on mute for just a second. All right. Had some screaming memes. All right. Grandkids doing what they do. Right. But, I thought it interesting. That's why step one comes before the psychic change. I'm like, but no, the psychic change happens, and it didn't catch it either, even though the psychic change is brought up before step one is in the big book, right? So we're going to start with psychic change. Let me get this set up. Sorry, I've been discombobulated. My day has not been normal, so I'm out of sync, right? So the psychic change does not, and then it, after I corrected it, now it's like the psychic change does not come from step one. Right? And it's saying this because I told it this. So the change of mind is what allows us to finally see so that we can do step one. That's what the psychic change is. Okay. Now, again, like everything else, it's very simple. Okay. So if you want to follow along, I'm on Roman numeral 28. For those of you that are millennial and younger, that would be XXVIII, because I don't think they teach you Roman numerals anymore. All right. See, the rest of us write in this secret language called cursive that you can't read. It's weird, Good luck reading the Constitution. Okay. Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. That was me. I do not drink for the taste. Although, if I think of a Beam and Coke, my mouth does water a little bit, even though I didn't like the taste. It's just my mouth. It's just my brain remembering things is all it really is. Yeah, but I did not like the taste of alcohol. Now when it comes to food, I'm a very picky eater too. Okay, you give me a full plate, and then if you put sour cream in the corner, I'm not eating any of it. I'm not going to touch it. But alcohol, no. You're like, what kind of beer you like? I have two favorite beers, warm and cold. You got one? Okay. Don't be asking me unless you're going to be offering. All right. You ever had Sailor Jerry rum? Ugh. Okay. Sailor Jerry's the worst. Okay. At least spend a little bit more and move up to Admiral Nelson. Okay. Because it's Sailor, Admiral, and Captain. All right. Even though Admiral is a higher rank, but in this case, Captain Morgan's the better. Yeah. And it came with a pouch. Right. How many of you had Crown Royal pouches turned inside out? I did as a dice bag for years. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit is it injurious, they cannot after a time differentiate the truth from the false. I've been through this. I've seen people go through this. I'm actually not watching, but, a niece from a previous marriage, she's having a hard time. They still call me Uncle Dion. They're kind of in this place where we know it's injurious, but we don't know what we can do about it. Right? We don't know what we can do about it. And, even growing up, I lived in a household that was alcoholic, and I go over to the other households and it'd be calm and people are saying thank you and getting along. I'm like, what's wrong with this family? They're lying about something. because I thought that's how families acted. I thought my alcoholic life was the only normal one, according to me. And why is that? Because it's all I knew. I didn't know more than that. All right. 12:47. She just sent that, which means Amber will be here shortly. Okay. They are restless, irritable, and discontented unless they can again experience the sense and ease and comfort which comes at once by taking a few drinks they see others taking with impunity. Okay. Now, you probably know what impunity means, do you? It means without consequence. Okay. That's going to be my guess, but we're going to go look it up anyway. Impunity. Freedom from punishment, harm, or bad results after doing something wrong or illegal. Because to us, drinking is just, it's wrong because we can't get it right. So therefore it's wrong. So when we see others taking it with impunity, okay, the consequences for your drinking is different than theirs. See, they stop after one. They can still go through a DUI checkpoint and head on home, where we cannot. We continue partying, right? Like, you know, my friends, they didn't drink as much as I did when I was a teenager. I could still kind of outdrink them, but they did drink a lot. But the difference was I went to Skid Row at 17, 18. You know where they went? College. Or is it? There was a difference there, right? Their consequences were not like mine, but they didn't do stupid shit once they started drinking like I did. I did not get in trouble every time I drank, but every time I got in trouble, I had been drinking. Right? So now they says, because it says, unless they can again experience the sense and ease and comfort which comes at once by taking a few drinks. You can have that. It's saying that it's possible unless they can again. That comes with the psychic change. And we'll get to that. And the spiritual experience. Right? I no longer need the alcohol. I have other skills to get to my ease and comfort. Now, it might take a little bit because I'm going to have to work through the problem, but it's going to be more worth it. The dividends are going to be better. Now, why our consequences are bigger naturally? Okay, as alcoholics, I could say something and it'll, well, somebody could say something and it has little to no effect. I do it and I'm ostracized. I don't know why. Well, this works both ways. So, if you have a big impact, even on the littlest thing, put it to good use. Then make those good things, not bad, to make them good things. If the consequences are going to be big, let's make them good. Because not all consequences are bad, you silly alcoholics. We tend to think that they are, because it's the only consequences we got. After so many have succumbed, that means you gave in to the desire. Again, as so many do, and the phenomenon of craving develops. The phenomenon of craving. Feeling like shit when you get up in the morning? Are you starting to shake yet? That'll happen. It'll happen by 30. You drink like I did. Yeah. By 30. That's what they're talking about. At the end of my drinking, when I got up in the morning, if I did not put alcohol in me, it would kill me. Because of delirium tremens. Yeah. It was scary, man. There was a balance that I had to live in where there was either too much or not enough alcohol. There's a part in the big book where it says one day he will not be able to imagine life either with or without alcohol. Okay. And that can be on a mental, emotional, and physical level. That's scary shit, man. It's scary. All right. So then we go through the well-known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful with a firm resolution to not drink again. And here's the part that hurts. We're not lying. We really mean it. We do. For those non-alcoholics listening, we really do want to quit. I don't know what the peculiar twist is. I don't know why. I'm never going to be able to answer that. Maybe not in my lifetime. Maybe in yours. But I don't think science is ever going to say this is where alcoholism comes from. Because I don't know that's really a scientific thing. You're going to have to completely change somebody's personality to make them a normal drinker. While considering God's perfection, you're not going to be able to. I don't think that science is ever going to make us normal drinkers. Why would we, when the benefits of staying sober and working the program are much better than being able to have one drink and put it away? Hi, Amber. $4.63 for gas. I'm glad I didn't put gas in my car today then. I'm on E too. All right. So with a firm resolution, we mean, like I said, we mean it. This is repeated over and over again. What do we call that? The insanity of the disease. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's the insanity. All right. I have a sponsee at 1:15. Okay. Man, I have been busy today. I already feel like it's been a full day because it has. Took him 5 hours to clean our vents. That's how bad they were. I mean, he showed me some pictures. I'm like, but I don't think it's going to help the airflow. I don't think it's going to do that. It's brand new. I don't know what we could do. New ducts, I guess. I don't know. All right. So this is repeated over and over again. And here we go. And unless this person can experience an entire, okay, not psychic change, entire. We know what entire means, right? 180, okay? Now, psychic, what does that mean? It's mind. So you changed your mind, okay? We change the way that we think. That's a psychic change. Now, the psychic change is what we call a step before the step, but is one of many. You ever had an epiphany? You ever, have you ever been kind of set on something and somebody said something and you decide to reconsider it and you went a different route? Psychic change happens all the time. But in this case, what is it? Okay. It's the sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's the gift of the desperation. It's the, I can't take it anymore. I don't want to live this life anymore. I've got to change. That's the psychic change. Sometimes it comes with a spiritual experience. Sometimes it does not. Mine did not. Okay. My spiritual experience would come a little bit later. Now I did have, but here I am kind of, determining the size of a spiritual experience. Because I remember coming home from detox and I just didn't want to drink anymore. And what is that? It's a spiritual experience. But I was still hurting and everything. So I couldn't recognize it. I couldn't see it. So I guess maybe my psychic change did come with a spiritual experience, but it wasn't recognized at the time because I was still too muddled. Right. So, see, I just did a psychic change right there. I recognized something, changed my mind on it. I was wrong. It was a sudden spiritual experience. I just didn't see it. I was wrong. Changed my mind. Simple as that. It wasn't too hard to do, was it? That's years and years of experience. All right. So, on the other hand, and strange as it may seem, Once a psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed, who had so many problems he despaired of ever solving them, suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol. The only effort necessary being required that he follow a few simple rules. Now, this is more a definition of a recovered alcoholic, which is around step 10. But this can happen before step 10. Absolutely, it can. Yeah. Right? Now, why am I saying that? Because there's some clinical things that I know. Sleep. All right. Most of an alcoholic's problems are boogeymen. It means they don't exist. Why? Let's go back. They drink because they like the effect produced alcohol. They cannot, after a time, differentiate the true from the false. To them, their alcoholic life seems the only normal one. There's part of it right there. But when you drink, you don't dream. And when you don't dream, you don't REM. And when you don't REM, you go crazy. So, what gets rid of half of our problems? Maybe even more. A good night's sleep. You want to know when that happens? About 20 to 28 days on the average. Okay, 28 days. That sound familiar to you? How long's treatment usually? 28 days. Why? That's the other reason. Okay. You think treatment's just going and learning about that, learn about alcoholism and that? No, they're keeping an eye on you. Because it takes up to 28 days to get all the alcohol out of your body. Yeah. Ounce an hour. Not for alcoholics. Not with the way we fucking drink. Right? Like I used to tell, I don't drink and drive. And I didn't really, if I was I'm not saying I didn't do it a couple times because I did. But if I really think about it, when I got up in the morning, I was still probably legally drunk. And I didn't drink before work. I would go through the shakes at work. Because even if I was drinking a little bit to knock off the nerves, no, it was game on. I would need a full pint at least. All right. So, being required only to follow a few simple rules. Well, those are the 12 steps. Right? So, men have cried out to me in sincere and despairing appeal, "Doctor, I cannot go on like this. I have everything to live for. I must stop, but I cannot. You must help me." Faced with this problem, if a doctor is honest with himself, he must sometimes feel his own inadequacy. Although he gives everything in him, it is often not enough. One feels that something more than a human power is needed to produce the essential psychic change. Now, we're changing our minds, but if we decide to go to God and we are earnest that we are truly ready to quit, and we have no lurking notions, your obsession will be removed. But not until that point. That's the deal. It's a decision. Okay? And you got to ask. Did you ask God to keep you sober today? Did you? Okay? And not begging, not demanding. God, I got a problem here. Okay? Now, when that obsession is removed, you know what it is? It is the grace of God. And what is grace? Grace is a free gift. Because you didn't do anything for it. Well, you kind of did. 20 years of drinking or whatever, right? So, but before we get to that step one, we're arguing with the truth. You can't control it. You want to stop, but you don't know that you really want to. People tend to think we need better circumstances. We think other people are the problem. This time it'll be different. I got it this time. Scariest words in an AA meeting. I got it this time. Scary. All right. So the facts can be sitting right in front of us long before we become capable of change. So step one, in and of itself, is an admission. It's not an assignment. Okay? It is not an assignment. But step one is very different when somebody tells us to say it versus something inside us has finally changed enough to recognize it. That was a horrible sentence. Okay. What they're saying is there's a big difference between understanding it and practicing it. That's what they're going after. All right. So, who cares to commit complete defeat? Practically no one, of course. Every natural instinct cries out against the idea of personal powerlessness, and that is the problem. It's our natural instincts. Yeah. Is science going to be able to change my natural instincts? Because I'm thinking no. I don't think they can do that. It is truly awful to admit that, glass in hand, we have warped our minds into such an obsession for destructive drinking that only an act of providence can remove it from us. There's God again, removing it from us. It needs to happen. Okay? There's only one thing that I found that can, it's God. Perfection. I even see some people that don't go to AA, they are in recovery, they don't believe in God, but yet the obsession is gone. Because it's the grace of God. They did something. They did something to seek for God, and they got the gift. They may not see it. They may not realize it. Right? And I feel bad because they're missing out on some gifts, man. Right? But I still see God working in their lives, whether they want to believe it or not. Okay? I have worked in this industry a long time, 21 years now. I've worked this industry. And I noticed certain things. Yeah. Then you have some people that are even in AA, but they refuse to do the steps. They haven't given it over to anything over. The obsession's not there. They two-step and they're miserable. Right? It's okay. Sometimes it takes a couple of slips, so in order for them to fully realize, what's going on. So, I'm so glad it kind of went away. People are like, relapsers are not a part of recovery, which is correct. But they don't know what a relapse is. A relapse means you started drinking and you stayed out. You didn't come back for years. We'll give it 3 months. Let's say it's 3 months. Could be like time and things like that, right? There you go. If you were drinking and you went back out, okay, and relapse is not really the drinking. It's the attitude. It's the attitude. So, no, relapses are not necessarily a part of recovery. But if you're learning from them, then aren't they? Slips, yes. They are a part of the recovery process sometimes. Yeah. If you went 6 months and you worked on steps 1 through 5, you didn't lose all that. No. You met something that you didn't have a tool for. You drank because of it, and you came right back. That's progress in my book. Okay. But when we run around saying slips aren't a part of recovery, what we're doing is creating another barrier. Stop creating fucking barriers to recovery. No more excuses. We are the no matter what club, which means we don't drink no matter what. Right? I'm going to do one more paragraph here and then I got to wrap up. But upon entering AA, we soon take quite another view of this absolute humiliation We perceive that only through utter defeat are we able to take our first steps towards liberation and strength. That's why we call it the gift of desperation, because it's a gift. Because now, this is what happens. Our admission of personal powerlessness finally turned out to be the firm bedrock upon which happy and purposeful lives may be built. See, I live a happy and purposeful life because I decided to admit complete defeat. There wasn't anything left. It was death or complete defeat. And I found more strength in asking for help than any other problem I've tried to tackle on my own. Yeah. I cry. I share my feelings. People don't fuck with me. That'd be silly. Because I'll cry and put my foot up your ass at the same time. I'm fine with that. Right? It's because I also have boundaries. It's because it takes courage. All right? And I know, and I've got a good understanding of arenas. So, all right, I got about 6 minutes before sponsee time. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it, even though I was a little late. Thank you for everybody understanding this week. My friends and my wife and my kids have been so fucking cool to me this week. Thank you. I really needed it. It helps more than you know, just by understanding what I go through. And I love you guys. You know I do. Peace out. And keep on trudging.